I will never forget the moment my entire world collapsed. I was stationed in Afghanistan 10,000 miles from home when my wife Megan requested a video call. Her face appeared on the screen, tears streaming down her cheeks. I expected news about a family emergency, maybe something with her parents. Instead, she spoke four words that shattered everything I believed in. She said, "I am pregnant. It is Derek's. Derek, my younger brother. The person I trusted to look after my wife while I served my country." Before I tell you what happened next, I want to know where you are watching from tonight. Drop your location in the comments below. And if stories about loyalty, betrayal, and finding the courage to choose yourself resonate with you, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Trust me, you will not want to miss how this ends. Now let me take you back to where it all began, to a time when I believed in forever. I met Megan during our junior year of high school in a small town in Ohio. She was the new girl from Michigan sitting alone at a lunch table near the window. What caught my attention was the book in her hands, a thick volume about military history. That was my favorite subject. I walked over, my heart pounding, and asked if I could sit down. She looked up with these bright green eyes and smiled. That smile changed everything. Our first conversation was awkward and clumsy. I stumbled over my words, and she laughed, not at me, but with me. Her laugh sounded like wind chimes on a summer porch. I noticed how she tucked her hair behind her left ear whenever she felt nervous. We talked for the entire lunch period, and by the time the bell rang, I knew I wanted to see her again. We started dating that fall. Our dates were simple because neither of us had much money. I would pick her up in my old pickup truck, the one with the rusty bumper and the radio that only worked half the time. We would drive out to the lake and watch the sunset. We would share milkshakes at the local diner, splitting a plate of fries because that was all we could afford. Those moments felt like everything. On prom night, under a sky full of stars, I told her my plan. I was going to enlist in the army after graduation. I wanted to serve my country, to become something more than a small-town kid with no direction. I expected her to hesitate, maybe even pull away. Instead, she squeezed my hand and said words I have carried with me ever since. "Then I will be your reason to come home." After basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, I came back to Ohio with a ring in my pocket. It was my grandmother's ring, a simple gold band with a tiny diamond. Nothing fancy, but it meant everything. I took Megan to the same diner where we had our first date. Over cheeseburgers and vanilla milkshakes, I got down on one knee. She said yes, before I could even finish the question. Our wedding was small, held at the local church on a crisp October afternoon. The trees were painted in shades of orange and red. Megan wore a dress she had sewn herself, ivory lace with delicate buttons down the back. I wore my dress uniform, polished and pressed. Our families sat in the wooden pews, and I remember thinking that I was the luckiest man alive. Growing up, I always knew my place in the family, and it was never at the center. My younger brother Derek was 3 years behind me, but he always seemed 3 steps ahead in our parents' eyes. He was the golden child, the charming one, the son who could do no wrong. I was the responsible one, the quiet one, the son who was expected to figure things out on his own. I remember when I was 12 years old. I saved money for 6 months doing yard work and odd jobs around the neighborhood to buy myself a bicycle. When I finally had enough, I bought a used blue 10-speed from a garage sale. I was so proud. That same week, Derek mentioned he wanted a bicycle too. The next day, our father took him to the store and bought him a brand new one. In high school, I played football. I worked hard, practiced every day, and eventually helped our team win the state championship. When I came home with the trophy, my parents said, "That is nice," and went back to watching television. That same month, Derek joined the debate team. He won a single local competition. My parents threw him a celebration dinner at the nicest restaurant in town. I learned to accept the imbalance. I told myself it did not matter because I had Megan. She saw me. She chose me. That was enough. But there were signs I should have noticed about Derek. At our wedding, he gave a toast. Most of his words were directed at Megan, complimenting her beauty, her grace, her smile. He barely mentioned our relationship, our future, our love. I dismissed it as Derek being Derek. He was charming with everyone. A few months after the wedding, Megan mentioned that Derek had texted her asking for restaurant recommendations. I thought nothing of it. He was my brother. She was my wife. What was there to worry about? 2 years into our marriage, I received deployment orders. 9 months in Afghanistan. It was my first extended time away from Megan, and the thought of leaving her made my chest ache. The night before I left, she cooked my favorite meal, pot roast with mashed potatoes and gravy, just like my grandmother used to make. We sat at our small kitchen table holding hands, talking about the future. She told me she wanted to start trying for a baby when I returned. I gave her a small charm to add to her bracelet, a tiny silver heart. Something to hold while I am gone, I told her. At the bus station the next morning, surrounded by soldiers and crying families, Megan held on to me until the last possible second. Her final words were, "Come home to me, Octavio. I will be here waiting." My mother gave me a brief hug. My father shook my hand firmly. And Derek, he arrived late, casual as always, hands in his pockets. "Do not worry, bro," he said with a grin. "I will keep an eye on things." I thanked him. I actually thanked him. The first 3 months of deployment went smoothly. Megan and I video called twice a week. She seemed happy and supportive. She sent care packages filled with homemade cookies, handwritten letters, and photos of our home. In one message, she mentioned that Derek had stopped by to help her fix a leaky faucet. I was grateful. I thought my brother was stepping up, being there for her when I could not. Then things started to change. By month 4, Megan began declining video calls. She switched to text messages, only offering excuses that felt hollow. Bad hair day. Too tired. The connection is terrible tonight. Her texts grew shorter. The "I love you" that used to end every message disappeared. She stopped asking about my day, about my safety, about the men in my unit. My army buddy Jake noticed something was off. We were sitting in the barracks one night cleaning our gear when he looked at me and said, "You have been distant lately. Everything okay back home?" I told him I was not sure. He sat down beside me and shared his own story. During his first deployment, his girlfriend had cheated on him with a coworker. He found out through a mutual friend. The betrayal nearly broke him. "Trust your gut, brother," he said. "If something feels off, it usually is." I defended Megan. "She is not like that. She is different." But the seed of doubt had been planted. A few weeks later, my cousin from Texas sent me a message. "Hey, saw Megan at that new Italian restaurant in town. Did not know Derek was back from Columbus. Hope everything is good." My stomach dropped. Derek had supposedly been living in Columbus for work, 2 hours away. Why was he at a restaurant with my wife? I texted Megan casually. "How is Derek doing? Heard he has been around lately." Her response came quickly. "Who told you that? He just stopped by once to check on me." The lie was subtle, but I felt it. By month 6, I finally managed to schedule a video call after 2 weeks of trying. Megan accepted. When her face appeared on the screen, she looked different. Tired, anxious. Her eyes darted away from the camera. We made small talk for a few minutes, but I could not focus on her words. My attention had shifted to something in the background. A jacket. Gray fabric draped over the back of a kitchen chair. It had a distinctive coffee stain on the sleeve. I recognized that stain. Last Thanksgiving, I had accidentally spilled coffee on Derek's jacket when we were clearing the dinner table. "Whose jacket is that, Megan?" I asked. Her face went pale. She glanced back nervously. "What jacket? Oh, that is yours. From when you left." "Megan, I do not own a gray jacket. And that stain, I spilled coffee on Derek's jacket last November." There was a long pause. Her eyes filled with tears. "Octavio," she whispered, "I need to tell you something." She broke down. Derek had been coming over to help, she said. "One night, about 4 months ago, after too much wine, it just happened. But it was not just once. It had continued. And then she delivered the blow that shattered me completely. "Octavio, I am pregnant. And it is not yours. I had been gone for 6 months. She was 4 months pregnant." The math was undeniable. I could not speak. The world tilted. There was a ringing in my ears, and my vision narrowed to a single point. Megan kept talking, crying, apologizing, but her voice sounded distant, like it was coming from underwater. I ended the call without saying a word. I sat in darkness for 3 hours. My commanding officer, Sergeant Williams, found me and arranged emergency leave. Compassionate reasons, the paperwork said. The flight home was the longest 18 hours of my life. I replayed every memory, every moment, searching for signs I had missed. Every text between Megan and Derek. Every time she said she was too busy to call. Every excuse I had accepted without question. Jake drove me from the airport. When we pulled up to my house, the house I had bought for our future family, Derek's car was parked in the driveway. My hands clenched into fists. Jake put a hand on my shoulder. "Whatever you do," he said, "do not do anything stupid. He is not worth your career." I walked into my own home like a stranger. I found Megan and Derek in the kitchen, sitting at the table, comfortable, domestic, like it was their home now. Derek stood up quickly. "Octavio, listen. It is not what you think. I cut him off. My voice was ice. Get out of my house, he tried to explain. Megan cried, apologized, begged me to listen. I said it again, slower this time. Get out. Now. Derek left. Megan stayed, pleading for a chance to explain. Loneliness, she said. Derek was there. It was a mistake. A mistake that lasted 4 months, I asked. A mistake you let continue while I was dodging bullets overseas. She had no answer. I told her to pack a bag and leave. She went to stay with her sister. That night I sat alone in our bedroom staring at our wedding photo on the nightstand. I removed my wedding ring and placed it beside the frame. The weight of it leaving my finger felt like something dying. 3 days after returning to Ohio, my mother called.